Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the exploration ship Meridian. The stars outside looked the same as they had for the past 3 months. Small dots of light in the endless black of space. He was tired of seeing the same view every day. The mission was simple but boring. Map new star systems. Check for planets that humans could live on someday. Record everything they found. Send reports back to Earth. It was important work, but not very exciting. "Sir, I'm getting something strange on the sensors," said Lisa Park from her station. She was the communications officer and had been with the crew for 2 years. Lisa was good at her job and never got excited about nothing. Jake turned his chair toward her. "What kind of strange?" Lisa frowned at her screen. "It's a signal, but not like anything I've seen before. It's coming from the third planet in the Kepler 442 system." "Could it be natural?" "Like radio waves from the planet's magnetic field?" Jake asked. "No, sir. This is definitely artificial. Someone or something is sending this signal on purpose." Lisa played with the controls on her station. "But here's the weird part. The signal has patterns that remind me of music." Dr. Marcus Webb looked up from his research station. He was the ship's expert on alien life, though they had never actually found any aliens. "Did you say music? That's impossible. No natural process creates musical patterns." "I know what I'm seeing, Doctor," Lisa said. "The signal repeats in waves. It has rhythm and different tones. If I didn't know better, I would say someone is playing a song down there." Jake felt his heart beat faster. In all his years in space, they had never found proof of intelligent alien life. Sure, they had discovered bacteria and simple plants on other worlds, but nothing that could build machines or create art. "Can you clean up the signal? Make it clearer?" Jake asked. Lisa worked at her station for several minutes. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Everyone waited to hear what the signal might sound like. Finally, Lisa pressed a button. Strange sounds filled the bridge. They were not like human music, but there was definitely a pattern. High tones mixed with low ones. Fast parts followed by slow parts. It was alien, but somehow beautiful. "My God," whispered Dr. Webb. "If this really is music, then we're looking at the first proof that aliens can create art. This would be the biggest discovery in human history." Captain Elena Rodriguez walked onto the bridge. She was a small woman, but everyone respected her. She had been in space longer than anyone else on the crew. "What's all the excitement about?" Jake explained. "About the signal." The captain listened without saying anything. When he finished, she looked at the star charts on the main screen. "How far off course will we have to go?" she asked. "About 6 days, Captain," said the navigation officer. "But we're already 3 months behind schedule. Command won't be happy if we take another week." Captain Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment. Jake knew she was thinking about the risks. If they investigated the signal and found nothing important, their careers could be hurt. The space exploration program was already losing money. Every mission had to show results. But if they ignored this, and it really was alien intelligence, they would miss the chance of a lifetime. "Dr. Webb," the captain said, "in your professional opinion, what are the chances this signal is from intelligent aliens?" Dr. Webb rubbed his chin. "Based on what I'm hearing, I'd say very high. The patterns are too complex to be natural. And the fact that it sounds like music suggests a level of intelligence we've never encountered before. But it could also be some kind of natural radio phenomenon we don't understand yet," said Lisa. "I want to believe it's aliens as much as anyone, but we have to be careful." Jake understood both sides. As the second in command, he would support whatever decision the captain made. But in his heart, he hoped they would investigate. "Sir, there's something else," Lisa said. "The signal is getting stronger. Whatever is sending it might be trying to get our attention." The captain walked to the main view screen and stared at the stars. Jake could see her thinking through all the possibilities. She was the kind of leader who never made quick decisions about important things. Lisa, how long would it take to get a response if we sent a message to Earth Command? The captain asked. At this distance, about 8 months each way. We'd be long gone from this system before we heard back from them. So we have to decide on our own, the captain said. The bridge was silent again. Jake looked around at his crewmates. He could see the excitement in their eyes. They were all scientists and explorers at heart. The chance to make contact with aliens was why they had joined the space program. Dr. Webb, if we do investigate, and it turns out to be aliens, what's the protocol? The captain asked. Standard first contact procedures. We observe from a safe distance first. Try to determine if they're friendly or hostile. If they seem peaceful, we attempt basic communication. And if they're not peaceful, we retreat immediately and report back to Earth. Captain Rodriguez nodded slowly. Jake could tell she was making up her mind. Navigation, set course for the third planet in the Kepler 442 system. We'll designate it as Havana 7 for our records. Yes, sir, the navigation officer said with a smile. Lisa, keep monitoring that signal. I want to know if it changes in any way as we get closer. Already on it, Captain. Dr. Webb, I want you to prepare for possible first contact. Review all the protocols. Make sure our translation computers are working properly. I'll get right. On it, the doctor said. Hurrying to his lab, Jake felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. In a few days, they might be face to face with aliens. It was what every space explorer dreamed about, but it was also scary. They had no idea what they might find on Havana 7. Jake, you have the bridge, the captain said. I'm going to my quarters to write a report. If Command asks later why we went off mission, I want them to understand our reasoning. Yes, sir. As the captain left, Jake looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there on a planet they had never seen, someone or something was sending music into space. In a few days, humanity might not be alone in the universe anymore. The Meridian changed course and headed toward the unknown. The planet Havana 7 grew larger on the main screen as the Meridian got closer. Jake Morrison stood beside Captain Rodriguez on the bridge, watching the alien world spin slowly below them. It was beautiful in a strange way. The continents were purple and blue instead of green and brown like Earth. The signal is much stronger now, Lisa Park reported from her station. It's definitely coming from the largest continent. I'm picking up what looks like a city. Dr. Webb hurried onto the bridge with his tablet computer. Captain, I've been studying the signal patterns for the past 3 days. The complexity is incredible. These aren't just random musical notes. There are mathematical relationships between the different tones. What does that mean? Jake asked. It suggests very high intelligence. Whoever is making this music understands advanced mathematics and science. They might be more advanced than us, Captain Rodriguez nodded. That's what I was afraid of. Lisa, any signs of weapons or military activity? No, sir. The energy readings from the planet's surface are all consistent with peaceful technology. No weapon signatures that I can detect. Good, but we still need to be careful. The captain turned to Dr. Webb. Doctor, prepare the first contact team. Take Jake, Lisa, and 2 security officers. I want you to land near the signal source, but not too close. Observe first, then try to communicate. What about you, Captain? Jake asked. I'll stay with the ship. If something goes wrong, someone needs to get word back to Earth. An hour later, Jake found himself in the landing shuttle with the rest of the team. Security officers Danny Brooks and Kate Miller checked their equipment one more time. Neither of them had ever been in a real combat situation, but they were trained and ready. Amy Chun, the ship's language expert, was also with them. I've programmed the translation computer every communication method we know, she said. But if these aliens are truly different from us, it might not work. The shuttle landed in a clearing about 2 miles from the alien city. Through the windows, Jake could see strange purple trees and floating creatures that looked like jellyfish, but moved through the air instead of water. "The air is breathable," Dr. Webb announced, checking his instruments. "Similar to Earth, but with more oxygen, we won't need suits." They stepped out of the shuttle onto alien soil. The ground felt soft under their feet. The air smelled sweet, like flowers. In the distance, they could see tall spires rising from the alien city. The spires seemed to be made of crystal and reflected the light from the planet's twin suns. "The signal is coming from those towers," Lisa said, pointing to the tallest spires. "And I'm detecting movement, lots of it." As they walked toward the city, Jake noticed that the musical signal was getting louder. It seemed to be coming from the crystal towers themselves. The whole city was singing. "Look," whispered Kate Miller, pointing ahead. A group of beings was coming toward them across the purple grass. They were unlike anything Jake had ever seen. They looked like they were made of living crystal, tall and thin, with bodies that seemed to catch and reflect light. They moved without making any sound. "Stay calm," Dr. Webb said quietly. "Let me handle the first contact." The crystal beings stopped about 50 feet away. There were about 20 of them, forming a half circle around the humans. Jake could feel his heart beating fast. This was really happening. They were meeting aliens. One of the crystal beings stepped forward. It was taller than the others and had more complex patterns of light flowing through its body. When it moved, it made a sound like wind chimes. "That must be their leader," Amy Chum whispered. She held up her translation computer. "I'm not getting anything from the translator. Their communication method is completely different from ours." The alien leader made more sounds. The tones were beautiful, but seemed to be getting more intense. The other crystal beings began making sounds too, creating a harmony that was both wonderful and frightening. "I think they're trying to communicate," Dr. Webb said. "Amy, try the standard first contact protocols." Amy stepped forward and spoke clearly. "We come in peace. We are explorers from the planet Earth. We heard your signal and came to meet you." The translation computer made beeping sounds as it tried to convert her words into something the aliens might understand. It projected mathematical symbols and simple pictures into the air. The effect was immediate and bad. The crystal beings' musical tones became harsh and discordant. Their bodies began to glow brighter, and Jake could see anger in their movements. "That's not working," Danny Brooks said, his hand moving toward his weapon. "Don't even think about it," Jake said quickly. "We're outnumbered and on their planet." The alien leader made a sound that was clearly a command. More crystal beings appeared from behind the city's spires. Soon there were over 100 of them surrounding the small human group. "We need to back away slowly," Dr. Webb said. "This is going very wrong." Amy tried different communication methods. She played recordings of Earth music. She showed them pictures of humans and Earth. She even tried simple hand gestures. Nothing worked. The aliens seemed to be getting more agitated with each attempt. Carlos Mendez, the shuttle engineer who had stayed with the craft, came running toward them. "What's happening? I can hear the commotion from here." "The first contact isn't going well," Jake said. "The aliens seem hostile to our communication attempts." Carlos was breathing hard from running. As he reached the group, he tripped over a root from one of the purple trees. His personal music player fell from his pocket and hit the ground. The device turned on by accident and began playing music. The music was a violin cover of the song Havana, played by a young street musician named Karolina Protsenko. Jake had heard Carlos listening to it many times during their long journey. It was beautiful music, mixing classical violin techniques with modern pop rhythms. The effect on the crystal beings was instant and amazing. All their harsh sounds stopped. Their bodies stopped glowing with anger. They stood perfectly still, as if frozen by the music. The alien leader took a step closer to the music player. The patterns of light in its crystal body began to pulse in time with the violin music. other aliens did the same. Soon all of them were resonating with the human music. "My God," whispered Dr. Webb, "they're harmonizing with it." The violin piece reached its most beautiful part, where the melody soared high and then dropped to gentle, sweet notes. The crystal beings began to make their own sounds, not the harsh tones from before, but gentle music that blended perfectly with the violin. Jake watched in amazement as the aliens moved closer to the music player. Their movements were no longer threatening. They seemed curious, even friendly. The leader reached out one crystal hand toward the device, but stopped just short of touching it. When the song ended, there was a moment of perfect silence. Then the alien leader made a sound that was clearly a question. It was musical and beautiful, nothing like the angry sounds from before. "I think they're asking about the music," Amy said excitedly. "The translation computer is picking up patterns now. They want to know where it came from." "Play it again," Dr. Webb said to Carlos. Carlos picked up his music player with shaking hands and started the song over. Once again, the crystal beings joined in with their own harmonies. This time, their music was even more beautiful. It seemed like they were trying to learn the human melody. Jake realized that something incredible was happening. They had found aliens, but more than that, they had found aliens who loved music. The universal language wasn't mathematics or pictures or hand gestures. It was music. The alien leader approached Dr. Webb and made a series of gentle musical sounds. The translation computer worked frantically, and finally words appeared on its screen. "Welcome, music makers. We have been waiting for you." Jake smiled for the first time since landing on the alien planet. First contact was going to be very different from what they had expected. The alien leader moved closer to Carlos and his music player. Its crystal body sparkled with colors that Jake had never seen before. When it spoke, the sounds were like a gentle song mixed with the tinkling of glass bells. Amy Chin watched her translation computer work harder than it ever had before. Numbers and symbols flashed across the screen as it tried to understand the alien language. Finally, words appeared. "Your harmony touches our core frequency. How do you create such perfect resonance?" Dr. Webb stepped forward carefully. "We call it music. Humans have been making music for thousands of years. It helps us express our emotions and tell stories." The alien leader's body pulsed with soft light. "Music. Yes, we understand this word now. We are called melodians in your language. I am Resonance Prime, the first harmony of our people." Jake looked around at all the crystal beings surrounding them. Each one was glowing gently and making soft musical sounds. It was like being inside a living orchestra. "Your music is different from ours," Resonance Prime continued. "We have searched the galaxy for many cycles, visiting world after world. We have met hundreds of different species, but none of them could create true harmony like this." "You mean we're not the first intelligent species you found?" asked Dr. Webb. "Oh no, music makers. The galaxy is full of intelligent life, but most species develop in one of two ways. Some become pure logic, like the calculators of Rigel 7. They can solve any mathematical problem, but cannot understand beauty. Others become pure emotion, like the feelers of Alpha Centauri. They experience everything, but cannot organize their thoughts." Resonance Prime gestured to the music player with one crystal arm. "But your species has done something we have never seen. You blend logic and emotion together. Your music has mathematical patterns, but it also carries feelings. This is very rare." Carlos was listening to everything with his mouth open. "You mean my music player impressed aliens?" "Not just any music," Resonance Prime said. "This particular harmony resonates with our deepest frequencies. The young human who created this version understands something special about sound and emotion." Amy's translation computer beeped. "It's saying something about the violin player. The alien is asking about Karolina Protsenko." Jake remembered that Carlos had told him about the musician. She was a young street performer who played violin covers of popular songs. People loved watching her perform because she put so much feeling into her music. The musician is very young, Dr. Webb explained. She takes songs that other people wrote and plays them on the violin in her own way. She adds her own emotions and style to the music. The crystal beings around them began making excited musical sounds. Their bodies glowed brighter with what Jake thought might be amazement. A young one who can recreate and improve harmony? Resonance Prime asked. This is even more incredible. Most species need many years to learn basic tonal relationships. Could you play more of your music? Another melodian asked. This one was shorter than Resonance Prime and had a different pattern of lights flowing through its body. Carlos looked at his music player. I have lots of different songs. What kind would you like to hear? All kinds, Resonance Prime said immediately. We want to understand the full range of human harmony. For the next hour, Carlos played song after song from his collection. The melodians listened to classical music by Mozart and Beethoven. They heard jazz from Miles Davis and Louis Armstrong. Carlos played rock songs by Queen and the Beatles. He even had some country music and hip-hop. Each type of music produced different reactions from the crystal beings. Classical music made them glow with steady, organized patterns of light. Jazz made their colors swirl and change in unpredictable ways. Rock music caused rapid flashing lights that pulse with the beat. But every time Carlos played Karolina's violin cover of Havana, all the melodians would stop what they were doing and focus completely on the music. Their harmonies with that particular song were the most beautiful sounds Jake had ever heard. Why do you like that song so much? Amy asked Resonance Prime. It contains perfect balance, the alien leader explained. The original song has emotion and rhythm from your modern culture. The violin adds classical technique and mathematical precision. But the young musician adds something else, a pure expression of joy that transcends both emotion and logic. Dr. Webb was taking notes as fast as he could. This is incredible. We're learning more about music and culture in one afternoon than we learned in decades of studying human art. Resonance Prime turned to face all the humans. Music makers, we must ask you something important. Your species may be the answer to a problem we have faced for millions of years. What kind of problem? Jake asked. Come with us to our city. We will show you something that few outsiders have ever seen. The crystal beings led the humans toward the tall spires of their city. As they walked, Jake noticed that the structures were even more amazing up close. The buildings seemed to be grown rather than built, like enormous crystals that had formed naturally but in perfect geometric patterns. Our city is alive, Resonance Prime explained. It grows from the harmonic frequencies we create. Good music makes it stronger and more beautiful. Bad frequencies or silence makes it weaken and fade. They entered the largest spire through an opening that appeared as they approached. Inside, the walls pulsed with gentle light and soft music seemed to come from everywhere at once. This is the heart chamber, Resonance Prime said. Here we maintain the cosmic resonance. The humans found themselves in a vast room filled with crystal formations that reached from floor to ceiling. Each crystal was singing a different note, and together they created the most complex harmony Jake had ever heard. What is the cosmic resonance? Dr. Webb asked. Resonance Prime gestured to the singing crystals. Long ago, the first builders created a network that spans the entire galaxy. It uses harmonic frequencies to maintain stability in star systems, prevent cosmic disasters, and keep space-time flowing smoothly. You mean this network affects the whole galaxy? Jake asked in amazement. Yes, but the network has been failing for thousands of years. The harmonic patterns become more and more difficult to maintain. We need new frequencies, new types of harmony. To keep it working, Amy looked at her translation computer. It's saying something about other species being unable to help. Correct, Resonance Prime confirmed. The calculators can understand the mathematics, but cannot create the emotional resonance needed. The feelers can provide emotion, but cannot maintain the precise frequencies required. We have tested hundreds of species over millions of years. None could do both. The alien leader moved closer to Carlos and his music player. But your music does both perfectly. If we could learn to create harmony like humans do, we might be able to save the cosmic resonance. What happens if the network fails completely? Dr. Webb asked. Star systems will become unstable. Planets will drift from their orbits. Space itself may tear apart in some regions. Billions of worlds with intelligent life could be destroyed. Jake felt the weight of what they were hearing. They had come to explore a new planet and maybe make first contact with aliens. Instead, they had discovered that the fate of the entire galaxy might depend on human music. So you want us to teach you how to make music like humans? Carlos asked. More than that, Resonance Prime said. We want to invite your species to join the Galactic Harmonic Council. We want humans and Melodians to work together to save the galaxy through the power of music. Jake looked at his teammates. They were all thinking the same thing. This was bigger than first contact. This was about humanity's place in the entire universe. Captain Rodriguez listened to Jake's report over the radio with growing amazement. The crew of the Meridian had been worried when the landing team stayed on the planet longer than planned. Now they understood why. So let me get this straight. The captain said, these aliens want us to help fix a galaxy-wide network using human music? That's right, Captain, Jake replied. They're bringing us to see the failing network nodes. They want to test if our crew can really help. Dr. Webb spoke into his communicator. Captain, I recommend you bring the entire crew down here. If we're going to attempt this, we'll need everyone who has any musical ability. An hour later, the whole crew of the Meridian stood in the Crystal City. Captain Rodriguez looked around at the singing buildings and the glowing Melodian people. Even after Jake's report, she was still amazed by what she saw. Resonance Prime approached the captain. Welcome, leader of the music makers. Your people may be the salvation we have sought for so long. My crew is ready to help, Captain Rodriguez said. But we need to understand exactly what you're asking us to do. Follow us, Resonance Prime said. We will show you the failing nodes. The Melodians led the humans deeper into their city, to a chamber far underground. Here, 3 enormous crystals stood in the center of the room. Each crystal was as tall as a building and pulsed with weak, flickering light. These are connection points to the Cosmic Resonance Network, Resonance Prime explained. They should sing with pure, strong harmonies. But listen, the crystals were making sounds, but the music was wrong. The notes were off key and weak. Sometimes the crystals would stop singing completely for several seconds. This is happening all across the galaxy, said another Melodian. The network is dying piece by piece. Dr. Webb studied the crystals with his instruments. What do you need us to do? We need you to create new music that can replace the failing frequencies, Resonance Prime said. But it must be perfect. The music must have the right mathematical patterns to maintain stability, but also the emotional resonance to give the network life. How do we know what kind of music to create? Asked Amy Chun. Resonance Prime gestured to the failing crystals. We will connect you to the network. You will feel what frequencies are needed. Then you must create music that provides those frequencies. Captain Rodriguez looked at her crew. Who among you has musical experience? Several hands went up. Chef Brandon Lee played the guitar in his free time. Engineer Nancy Foster had sung in choir since she was a child. Weapons specialist Tony Garcia played the harmonica, though he was embarrassed to admit it. I can play piano a little, said pilot Sarah Kim, and I know Lisa plays the flute. We also have Carlos and his collection of Earth music, Dr. Webb added. Resonance Prime's crystal body brightened. This is more musical talent than we dared hope for. But we must warn you, connecting to the network is dangerous for non-Melodians. The harmonic frequencies might overwhelm your minds. What exactly are the risks? Captain Rodriguez asked. Some species who have tried this before lost their ability to think clearly. Others became obsessed with the music and could not focus on anything else. A few went completely insane. The crew members looked at each other nervously. Jake could see the fear in their eyes, but also determination. "We'll do it," Brandon Lee said. "If human music can really save the galaxy, we have to try." The others nodded in agreement. Even Tony Garcia, who was usually quiet and serious, stepped forward. "How do we start?" Nancy Foster asked. Resonance Prime led them to a smaller chamber, connected to the main crystal room. Here, human-sized crystals sat in a circle. "These will connect you to the network. Sit beside them and place your hands on their surface. You will feel the frequencies that are needed." The 5 musically talented crew members sat in a circle. Jake and the others watched as they placed their hands on the crystals. The effect was immediate. All 5 humans gasped as the crystals began to glow. Their eyes closed and their faces showed intense concentration. "I can feel it," Nancy whispered. "The music is so complex. There are layers and layers of harmony. It's like hearing the heartbeat of the galaxy," Brandon said. "But some of the beats are missing." Tony Garcia opened his eyes. "I know what's wrong. The music needs more ... more so. It's too perfect, too mathematical. It needs human emotion." The crystals they were touching began to sing more clearly. The failing notes became stronger and more stable. "It's working," Resonance Prime said excitedly. "They are providing the missing element." But after a few minutes, the humans began to look tired. Sweat appeared on their faces, and their hands started to shake. "We can't keep this up much longer," Sarah Kim said. "The connection is too strong. You must create music that can work without your direct connection," Resonance Prime explained. "Music that carries both the mathematical precision and the emotional resonance the network needs." The humans removed their hands from the crystals and sat back, breathing heavily. "Did you feel what kinds of music are needed?" Dr. Webb asked. "Yes," Nancy said, "but it's so complex. We need to create 3 different pieces of music. Each one has to match the frequency of one of the failing crystals. The first piece needs to be strong and steady," Brandon explained, "like a foundation that everything else builds on. The second piece needs to be flowing and changing," Tony added, "like a river that never stops moving. And the third piece needs to be bright and hopeful," Sarah said, "like the sun rising after a long night." Captain Rodriguez looked at Resonance Prime. "How long do we have?" "The network is failing faster now. We estimate 3 days before the first critical systems collapse." 3 days to compose 3 pieces of music that can save the galaxy," Jake said. "No pressure." The crew spent the rest of the day planning their approach. They would work in teams, with each team responsible for one piece of music. The Melodians would help them understand the mathematical requirements, while the humans would provide the emotional elements. Brandon Lee worked with a group of Melodians on the foundation piece. He used his guitar to create strong, steady rhythms while the aliens helped him understand the precise frequencies needed. Nancy Foster and the Melodians worked on the flowing piece. Her voice soared through complex melodies that seemed to move like water or wind. Tony Garcia was embarrassed about his harmonica, but the Melodians were fascinated by the instrument. They helped him create bright, joyful tunes that made everyone smile. Carlos provided background music and helped all the teams understand different human musical styles. His collection of Earth music became a reference library for the project. Amy Chen and Lisa Park worked on the technical side, using their equipment to record and analyze the music as it was created. As the first day of work ended, Jake could see progress being made. The music was unlike anything he had ever heard. It combined human emotion with alien mathematics in ways that seemed impossible, but he also saw how tired his crew was becoming. The work was exhausting, and they still had 2 more days to create 2 more pieces of music. "Can we really do this?" Sarah Kim asked as they prepared to rest. "We have to," Captain Rodriguez said. The whole galaxy is counting on us? Jake looked at the failing crystals in the distance. Their weak, flickering light reminded him of how much was at stake. Somewhere out there, billions of worlds were depending on a small human crew and their ability to make music that could touch the stars. On the second day, something amazing happened. Brandon Lee was working with his melodeon partners when his guitar suddenly began to resonate with the crystal chamber itself. The sound was so beautiful that everyone in the city stopped what they were doing to listen. That's it, Resonance Prime said with excitement. That's the foundation frequency the network needs. Jake watched as Brandon played the same melody again. This time, the failing crystal in the center of the room began to glow brighter. The weak, broken sounds it had been making became strong and steady. How did you do that? Dr. Webb asked Brandon. I'm not sure, Brandon said, looking at his guitar with wonder. I was thinking about home, about Earth, and how our music connects all humans no matter where we are. Then I just started playing what I felt. Nancy Foster had similar success with her flowing piece. When she sang while the melodeons provided harmony, the second crystal began to pulse with steady light. Her voice seemed to carry emotions that the mathematical frequencies had been missing. Your voice creates ripples in space-time itself, one of the melodeons told her. We can feel the harmony spreading beyond this planet. Tony Garcia was still, struggling with his bright, hopeful piece. His harmonica could create beautiful melodies, but something was missing. The third crystal remained dim and flickering. I don't understand, Tony said in frustration. The melodeons say the mathematics are correct, but it's not working. Captain Rodriguez sat beside him. What are you thinking about when you play? I'm trying to think about hope and brightness, like they said, but it feels forced. Maybe that's the problem, the captain said. Don't try to force the emotion. Think about something that really makes you feel hopeful. Tony closed his eyes and thought for a moment. Then he began to play a simple melody on his harmonica. It was soft at first, but gradually became stronger and more joyful. I was thinking about my daughter back on Earth, he said. She's only 5 years old, and she always asks me to play music for her before bedtime. When I come home from this mission, she'll be older, but she'll still want to hear me play. As Tony played his melody thinking about his daughter, the third crystal suddenly blazed with bright light. The sound it made was like laughter and sunshine combined. All three crystals are working, Resonance Prime announced. The local network is stable again, but their celebration was interrupted by new sounds from outside the crystal chamber. More melodeons were arriving, and they seemed very excited about something. What's happening? Jake asked. Word of your success has spread through the network, Resonance Prime explained. Other species are requesting to meet you. A new group of beings entered the chamber. These look different from the melodeons. They seem to be made of pure light and move like flowing energy. These are the temporal echoes, Resonance Prime said. They exist across multiple times at once. They rarely show themselves to anyone. The leader of the light beings spoke in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. We are the builders of the Cosmic Resonance Network. We created it eons ago but could never make it truly stable. Dr. Webb stepped forward. You built the network? Why couldn't you maintain it? We understand time and space, but we never learned to understand emotion the way your species does. The network needs both mathematical precision and emotional resonance. To function properly, we had the first part but not the second. That's why you've been waiting for humans, Amy Chun asked. Not specifically humans, the temporal echo replied. We have been waiting for any species that could bridge the gap between logic and emotion. You are the first we have found. More alien beings began arriving in the crystal chamber. Jake saw creatures he could never have imagined. Some looked like living gas clouds. Others appeared to be made of metal and circuitry. A few seemed to be pure thought with no physical form at all. The Galactic Harmonic Council is gathering, Resonance Prime explained. These are representatives from the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. They've all been hidden, waiting for this moment. Captain Rodriguez looked overwhelmed. There are so many different species. Over 300 intelligent civilizations are part of the council, said a being that looked like a tree made of silver. We have all been working to maintain the cosmic resonance network, but we were failing. Your music changes everything, added a creature that appeared to be a floating brain surrounded by electricity. The network is already becoming stronger across multiple star systems. Lisa Park was monitoring communications from the Meridian. Captain, I'm getting reports from our ship's sensors. There are massive energy changes happening throughout this entire region of space. Good changes or bad changes? Jake asked. Good. I think the energy patterns are becoming more organized and stable. The temporal echo leader moved closer to the humans. Your 3 pieces of music are being transmitted through the network to repair failing nodes across the galaxy. But we need more than just repairs. We need new music to make the network stronger than it ever was before. What do you mean? Brandon, Lee asked. The network was originally designed to simply maintain stability, the light being explained. But your music doesn't just maintain, it improves. It makes space-time itself more harmonious. Nancy Foster looked around at all the alien beings. So what happens now? Now we teach each other, Resonance Prime said. You teach us about human, emotion, and musical expression. We teach you about the mathematics of cosmic harmony. Together, we create a new age of galactic civilization. One of the gas cloud creatures spoke in a voice like wind through caves. Our species, the atmospheric ones, have been trying to create weather songs for millions of years. With human emotional techniques, we might finally succeed. The silver tree being added, the plant collective has always wanted to create growth symphonies that could help barren worlds bloom. Your music could make this possible. Jake realized they were witnessing something incredible. Not just first contact with aliens, but the birth of a new type of civilization based on music and cooperation between species. There's something else. The temporal echo said, your music is having effects we never expected. It's not just repairing the network. It's creating new connections between distant parts of the galaxy. Dr. Webb pulled out his instruments to take readings. What kind of connections? Stable wormholes. Faster-than-light communication channels. Even some forms of time synchronization between different regions, the light being explained. Your music is literally bringing the galaxy closer together. Captain. Rodriguez sat down heavily in one of the crystal chairs. This is bigger than anything we imagined when we left Earth. Much bigger, agreed Resonance Prime. The galaxy is about to become truly united for the first time in its history. And it all started with a young human playing violin on a street corner. Carlos looked at his music player, which still contained Karolina Protsenko's recording. She has no idea that her music helped save the galaxy. She will, said the temporal echo. When you return to Earth, your species will need to prepare for its new role in galactic civilization. Every human with musical ability will be needed. Every human, Jake asked. Music is not just for professional musicians in human culture, Resonance Prime observed. You have mothers who sing lullabies, children who make up songs while playing, workers who whistle while they labor. This casual relationship with music is what makes your species so special. Tony Garcia smiled as he thought about his daughter. Again, you mean even my 5-year-old could help save the galaxy? Especially your 5-year-old, the temporal echo said. Young humans seem to create music with the purest emotional resonance of all. As the day ended, Jake looked around at the amazing gathering of alien beings. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations were working together, sharing knowledge and creating new forms of music that spanned the stars. The Cosmic Resonance Network was not just saved. It was transformed into something far greater than its original builders had ever dreamed possible. And it all happened because humans had learned to put their hearts into their music. 6 months later, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the new space station orbiting Earth. Through the large windows, He could see something that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. Ships from dozens of alien species were docked at the station, their crews working together on projects he was still learning to understand. The Terran Harmonic Academy floated nearby, a beautiful crystal structure that had been grown using Melodian technology but designed with human creativity. Inside, students from across the galaxy were learning the new science of emotional resonance. "Admiral, the council meeting is about to begin," said Commander Lisa Park. She had been promoted after their successful mission and now served as Earth's primary liaison with the Galactic Harmonic Council. Jake walked to the council chamber, where representatives from over 300 species were gathering. The room itself was a marvel of cooperative engineering. It could accommodate beings made of gas, liquid, crystal, energy, and organic matter all at the same time. Captain Rodriguez, now Director of Human Harmonic Affairs, took her seat beside Jake. "How many new applications did we receive this week?" she asked. 230, Jake replied. "It seems like every young person on Earth wants to join the Academy." The meeting began with Resonance Prime providing updates on the Cosmic Resonance Network. The network is now operating at 140% of original capacity, the Melodian leader announced. The improvements continue to exceed our most optimistic projections. A temporal echo representative added, "The new wormhole connections have reduced travel time between distant regions of the galaxy by 90%. Trade and cultural exchange are happening at unprecedented levels." Dr. Webb, who now led the Xenobiology department at the Academy, stood to give his report. "We've made contact with 17 previously unknown civilizations this month alone. The network's improved reach is revealing species that have been isolated for millions of years." "What about the music education programs?" asked a representative from the Plant Collective. "Better than we hoped," replied Nancy Foster, who had become the Academy's Director of Emotional Resonance Studies. "We now have human musicians working with over 50 different species to develop new forms of harmonic expression." Jake smiled as he remembered some of the success stories. The atmospheric ones had finally created their weather songs, and several barren planets were now experiencing their first rainstorms in centuries. The metal-based constructors had learned to sing buildings into existence, creating architectural wonders that grew like living things. "There's something special I want to share with the council," said a voice from the communication system. On the main screen, a familiar face appeared, Karolina Protsenko, now 19 years old and the Academy's youngest instructor. "Hello, everyone," Karolina said from her studio on Earth. "I wanted to show you what some of our newest students have created." The screen showed a concert hall filled with beings from across the galaxy. On the stage, a mixed ensemble was preparing to perform. Jake recognized some humans with traditional Earth instruments, but there were also Melodians, atmospheric ones, and species he was still learning about. This piece was composed collaboratively by students from 12 different worlds, Karolina explained. "It's called Unity's Symphony, and it represents the first time so many species have created music together." The performance began, and Jake felt the same wonder he had experienced on Havana 7. The music was unlike anything that had ever existed before. Human violins blended with Melodian crystal tones. Atmospheric wind songs merged with the harmonic mathematics of the calculators. Even the usually silent constructors contributed by creating rhythmic patterns with their metal bodies. But what made the music truly special was the emotion that flowed through it. Every species had contributed their own understanding of joy, hope, and unity. The result was a sound that seemed to touch something deep in every intelligent being who heard it. "The network is responding to the performance," reported a technician. "Harmonic resonance is increasing across 17 star systems." "It's beautiful," whispered Amy Chun, who now worked as a translator for the most complex interspecies communications. After the performance ended, Karolina spoke again. "We have a special announcement. The Council has approved funding for the Grand Galactic Symphony Project." "What's that?" asked a representative Jake didn't recognize. A musical composition that will involve every known intelligent species in the galaxy, Karolina explained. We estimate it will take 5 years to create and will require the participation of over 10 million musicians across thousands of worlds. The goal, added Resonance Prime, is to create a piece of music so powerful and harmonious that it will permanently stabilize the cosmic resonance network. No more failures, no more breakdowns. The galaxy will be united in harmony forever. Jake thought about how much had changed since that day when they first heard the strange signal from Havana 7. Earth was no longer isolated in the galaxy. Humans were now considered one of the most important species in galactic civilization, not because of their technology or military power, but because of their ability to feel and express emotion through music. Admiral Morrison, said the Temporal. Echo representative, would you like to provide the human perspective on this project? Jake stood up, still amazed that aliens from across the galaxy wanted to hear his opinions. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we're honored to be part of this incredible collaboration. Our species has always believed that music brings people together. Now we know it can bring entire galaxies together. There's one more thing, said Carlos Mendez, who had become the Academy's Director of Cultural Archives. We've been receiving reports of something interesting happening on worlds throughout the galaxy. What kind of reports? Asked Captain Rodriguez. Children, Carlos said with a smile. On every world where our music education programs have been established, the local children are creating new forms of music spontaneously. They're not just learning what we teach them. They're inventing things we never thought possible. A representative from a species that looked like living crystals spoke up. Our young ones have begun singing to make their crystal formations grow in new patterns. Before contact with humans, our species had never conceived of using music for creation. The feeler children are learning to control their overwhelming emotions by expressing them through song, added another representative. For the first time in our species' history, our young can experience intense feelings without losing their sanity. Tony Garcia, who had returned to Earth to spend time with his daughter, appeared on the communication screen. My daughter, Emma, is 8 years old now. Last week, she taught a group of young melodians how to play hopscotch while singing Earth nursery rhymes. The melodians' parents say their children have never shown such creativity before. This is the real victory, said Resonance Prime. Not just that we saved the network, but that we're creating a new generation that thinks of music and cooperation as natural parts of life. As the meeting ended, Jake walked back to the observation deck. He looked out at the ships from dozens of worlds and listened to the gentle background music that now flowed through the station's communication system, a blend of human melodies and alien harmonies that had become the soundtrack of galactic civilization. His communicator chimed with a message from Earth. It was a video from a small music school in New York, where children from around the world were learning to play instruments together. In the background, he could hear them singing a simple song that had somehow become popular on hundreds of planets. We are one voice. We are one song. Together we make the galaxy strong. Jake smiled and thought about Karolina, still playing her violin and teaching others to find the emotion in their music. A young street performer had changed the course of galactic history simply by putting her heart into her art. The universe was vast and full of wonders. But the greatest wonder of all was how music could connect every intelligent being, no matter how different they might seem. In the end, Jake realized they were all just people trying to create something beautiful together. As he watched the ships from distant worlds, he could hear the new galactic anthem beginning to play, a song created by every species working in harmony, with a simple violin melody at its heart.